Speaking of time going by, time seems to be Andrew Cuomo's enemy, ladies and gentlemen, because first of all, we found out from, what is it, Letitia James? Is that her name? Letitia James, the New York Attorney General who can't hold the secrets any longer. Cuomo has been lying about the numbers of deaths in nursing homes. The deaths could be up to 50% worse than they have been reported. And now it's turning out that Cuomo thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and it's costing people lives. New York Governor Cuomo shunned experts, embraced lobbyists, drove top health officials to quit over pandemic response. Look, folks, really quick, before I get into this, we're talking about this guy that jerks his own chain, whose brother jerks his chain, who they in tandem jerk your chain. They tell people just how horrible, all right, just how horrible Donald Trump was while systematically murdering their state and their elderly population. Folks, Cuomo's a bad dude. He's a real bad dude. All right. An evil dude, somebody who is literally a grown adult. He's supposed to be a grown man who cannot accept responsibility. When you are the boss, when you are the leader, you own the problem. You are responsible. Whether you went over to an elderly folks home and bludgeoned somebody to death with a hammer, or whether you ordered people to be put back into those homes, you are responsible. But instead, you're living in fairy tale land. You're living in Frodoville with Smeagol and the Precious in New York, all right? And you're shunning experts. You're embracing lobbyists. You're driving the top health officials to quit over the pandemic response. Folks, we're going to read at least 9 top New York health officials have left their posts since March of last year over Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo's handling of the pandemic. Health officials frustrated at Cuomo's response to the pandemic have resigned or changed jobs as morale among public health workers has dropped. The governor ignored advice from his public health experts while using them as a foil during a recent press conference while answering questions on the pandemic, according to the New York Times. That's really pathetic sounding. Quote, when I say experts in air quotes, it sounds like I'm saying I don't really trust the experts, Cuomo said Friday, referring to all government experts, because I don't. State health officials have grown increasingly irritated at Cuomo's approach to the pandemic, claiming that the governor has issued top-down orders to combat the coronavirus without first notifying health department staff. Typically, he has announced an order, then directed health officials to adapt. All right, to adapt to it with no prior warning. All right, that's no process of voting anything in or working with anybody or talking to anybody about anything. That's just giving orders, plain and simple. One of the latest incidents occurred in Cuomo's shaping of the state's vaccine distribution plan. The governor scrapped a plan that health officials at all levels of state government had been working on in some fashion or another for about 2 decades, as the Times reported. In the fall, Mr. Cuomo shelved vaccine distribution plans that top state health officials had been drawing up. One person with knowledge of the decision said that the plans had relied in part on years of preparations, folks, years. That goes to show that Cuomo isn't afraid to destroy tradition. An outgrowth of bioterrorism fears following September 11th and on experience dispensing vaccines through county health departments during the H1N1 pandemic in 2009. As a result, local officials across the state complained that their efforts to vaccinate were undercut by the Cuomo plan. Wait a minute. Why are we not doing this? Anthony J. Picente Jr., a Republican who is county executive in upstate Oneida County, said he remembered thinking. Instead of leaving vaccination plans to be run by local officials, Cuomo instead spoke with hospital executives, outside consultants, and a top hospital lobbyist in closed-door meetings. Basically, he is saying that Cuomo is the all-knowing, all-seeing eye of the world. He knows what to do. He doesn't need anybody's help from the little people. He is the face. He is the king. He is the one to put this forward. And if it fails, it cannot be him. It can only be the incompetence of other people, ladies and gentlemen, blue-collar people, people like you and I. Folks, people like you and I. This is crazy. All right, folks. Hospitals were put in charge of vaccinating their own employees as well as residents. All right. The approach, critics say, resulted in bottlenecks and people placed in charge of a vaccination program that they were not trained to handle. The governor's approach in the beginning seemed to go against the grain in terms of what the philosophy was about how to do this. All right. Former New York City Health Department Deputy Commissioner Dr. Isaac Weisfuss said it did seem to negate 15 or 20 years of work, ladies and gentlemen. Cuomo, he responded to allegations of mishandling the pandemic by asserting that he is fighting for New Yorkers. If Times reporters think I push hospitals too hard and local governments too hard, I say I'm a fighter for the people of New York, and I believe that I'm saving lives. And that's what he said to the Times, and he could believe that he's saving lives. But he could also be out of his damn mind. I mean, that's an absolute possibility, too. He could be an insane person. He could be a pea pod. What do I mean by a pea pod? Like he could be an alien pod person who he was replaced by a space alien who crept into his ear in the middle of the night. All right, took over his body and became this ridiculous living entity that spews literal diarrhea every time he opens his mouth. But folks, I'm just comparing the odds of things, ladies and gentlemen, just comparing the odds. Don't worry, this isn't Art Bell. I'm not really saying he's a pod person, or am I? For months, Cuomo, all right, has been accused of mishandling the pandemic early on by forcing New York nursing homes to accept COVID-19 positive patients before they tested negative for the disease. The accusations have gained more attention recently, and New York's top prosecutor, Letitia James, has determined that Cuomo's administration may have attempted to cover up mistakes by undercounting the number of elderly who died in nursing homes from the coronavirus. A report issued last week by Letitia James's office stated COVID-19 resident deaths associated with nursing homes in New York State appear to be undercounted by Department of Health by approximately 50%, folks. That's a big number. That really is. Cuomo deflected questions over his handling of the pandemic and nursing homes on Friday, blaming the federal government. Quote, "What I would say is everyone did the best they could. When I say the State Department of Health, as the report said, the State Department of Health followed federal guidance. So if you think there was a mistake, then go talk to the federal government," Cuomo said. It's not about pointing fingers of blame. Of course it's not, right? When you are the one to blame. It's that this became a political football, right? Look, whether a person died in the hospital or died in a nursing home, it's the people died. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of this report here is pretty infuriating, but at the same time, we've kind of come to understand at this point how it seems to work in New York, haven't we? This Wild West, this bias world, this almost crime, probably not even almost, actual crime syndicate of local government floating around New York with Governor Andrew Cuomo leading the pack. Ladies and gentlemen, scary stuff, very scary stuff. But you know, folks, when you have somebody like this, what does that say to immigrants? What does that say to Americans thinking of committing crimes, or folks from other countries that have to judge the reputation of this country? What does that say when people like the Cuomos of this country can get away with these things? When the stores, not the stores, the police, they don't prosecute these folks. I mean, it seems like now Letitia James might be doing something, but I read that report. She was very careful with how she spoke. But it just feels like these leftist elites get away with murder on a daily basis, and they are never, ever held accountable. All right. And it's starting to feel like maybe, just maybe, Andrew Cuomo may be held accountable. We'll have to keep watching, and we'll have to keep our eyes open. All right. Head to the website, www.americanreveille.com. Do me this favor. All right. Hit it up. Hit it up, hit it up, hit it up. If you loved this podcast, if you like what we're doing and you feel like supporting us, hit the support us tab. We take Bitcoin. You can go on PayPal. We take any amount of donation. We appreciate it greatly. Guys, it really helps. It goes a huge way while we're fighting off this censorship. We have some new articles tracing the real pandemic. It's fantastic. And also, Andrew Penn put out Joe Biden's America Last Agenda, a great one as well. I have another article coming out tonight too. Folks, sign up for the mailing list. Please, please, please. You don't want to lose touch with what we are doing across this country. And please contact us. If you have any feedback, if there's anything you'd like to ask me, if there's any way you believe you can contribute with any of your skill sets, or if you'd like to start building up an American Reveille street team in your neighborhood, please let me know. James Lane at AmericanReveille.com, James Lane at AmericanReveille.com, or you can hit the contact button or go to AmericanReveille.com and then hit the contact button. Folks, we're still on YouTube, so if that's where you're watching us, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, share, but they are shadow banning us. That's why you'll notice that we were getting thousands of views, and now all of a sudden we're barely getting any. That's called shadow banned, all right? So we're moving a lot of our stuff to Odyssey. This is a great platform, ODYSEE.com, all right? Most of my videos are up there. Most of them are up there, and I like them. I think they're a great platform. They're easy to use. It feels like YouTube, so it could be our version of YouTube. Try it out, ODYSEE.com. I'm there as American_Reveille. Of course, the links will be in the description below, and of course, I'm on Rumble, guys. I am on Rumble as well. Head over to rumble.com, find me American_Reveille. I'm in the comment section below, or I'm in the description section. You can find the link there. Head over here, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I need all the support I can get. We are having a very big hit to our distribution. People are not seeing what we're putting out because they killed Parler. And like I told you in the podcast episode, we don't even know if Parler is coming back. So we got to start from scratch. So I need your help, folks. Please help. All right. We can do this together. We really, really can. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, guys, 5-star rating, leave a review, please. Please, please, please. That's a big deal. Subscribe there. Follow me there. Share. If you are an audio listener, I am on most platforms. American Reveille podcast on most platforms, folks. If you're a listener and you know people who like AM radio and different things like that, tell them about the American Reveille, please. I need your help, and I'm depending on you to really spread the word. All right. We're doing everything we can. You know that I barely sleep and eat. I'm putting it out. I'm putting the hours in, folks, for you, for me, for everybody, folks. So I appreciate it. I thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I will see you in the next segment. Bye.